What's up, guys? Welcome back to King Kraken Sports. Mike here. And first off, I just want to say thank you for bearing with me over the last week. I just had a really busy schedule in terms of school with a whole bunch of assignments due, some exams, and then a weekend business conference. Monday was a holiday here in Canada, and then yesterday I had my first day at work. So I just really didn't have any time to put out any videos. I'm also a little bit under the weather too, so bear with me. These next couple of videos, my voice is going to be a little scratchy, a little bit ashy, but you know, got to push through. I mean, I want to make sure I get these ranking videos out before the combine, because after the combine, I don't want to say shit changes big time, but shit does change, and if I'm not able to get all these ranking videos out by the combine, I'll feel like I've let myself down and let you guys down. So I already put up the top five revised quarterback rankings, whatever the fuck you want to call it. There's going to be a link in the description for that. So this is version 2 of the running backs. And I almost didn't do a top 5 originally for this video. I was originally considering just not doing it because 2 weeks ago I put up a poll, and at that point there was really no difference in my rankings. Actually, there was no difference. My top 5 were exactly the same. I went back about 2 days ago when I got back from that conference, redid uh, my evals for my third, fourth, fifth, and sixth guys, and yeah, things changed a bit, so it's worth doing a top 5, but I don't want to settle on just doing a top 5. This is a really deep running back class, and I feel like if I do a top 5, a lot of guys are going to get slighted. So, because of a really deep position, we're going to go with a top 10 running back rankings. Yes. So, number 1 is, to no one's real surprise, Leonard Fournette. He's number 4 on my board. And while a lot of people in the media and in draft Twitter are starting to really like Dalvin Cook more because because they view him as a better asset in the passing game, Leonard Fournette, I mean, what better asset in the passing game is there than a running back that takes a lot of the pressure off of your quarterback? I mean, you don't have to throw the ball, a lot with Leonard Fournette, because instead of getting 2 yards, 2 yards, 2 yards, and then you're at third and four, it's 5 yards, 3 yards, 5 yards, 3 yards. Like, you're not facing as many third downs, which means that he doesn't have to be as much of an asset in the passing game. He's an absolute beast. If you watch the film, he's running guys over left, right, and center. I don't envy anyone with the task of trying to tackle Leonard Fournette. In fact, if it were me, I'm running the other way. Yeah. I might even start blocking my own teammates. I am that scared shitless of Leonard Fournette. He looks like he could eat you. He does have some questions, though, as far as what I do my tape study. It's kind of, hear me out, it's kind of the same concerns that some had with Trent Richardson, in that because his offensive line is so good at clearing out space, how good is his vision? We'll see it at the combine, and we'll definitely see it once he gets drafted, but it is a concern when your offensive line is that good that at run blocking, that you may not have to really have great vision and decide and see when a hole isn't big enough. It's something to be weary on. The lack of presence in the pass game doesn't concern me, but the potential for mediocre vision, uh, it's worrisome. But I think everything else he brings you is easily a top 5 pick. Easy top 5 value, top 10 pick for sure. Number 2, Dalvin Cook out of Florida State. Again, no one is really surprised about this. Everyone knows that the top 2 backs are Fournette and Cook. Cook actually comes in at number 5 on my board, so they're 4 and 5. Dalvin Cook, I've seen him compared to Jamal Charles. I really like that. Comparison. He's big too. He's a lot bigger than I thought he was. Now he does have apparently some off the field attitude concerns, and I think he's had a shoulder surgery or two, I was hearing. But so maybe those are some red flags. But what you're getting on the field, the guy is an absolute monster. Can probably, you know what? I would not be surprised if Dalvin Cook is the next running back to get 1,000 yards rushing and 1,000 yards receiving in the same season. He's that uh, um, multi-talented. He could probably even return kicks for you. Wasn't asked to do it at Florida State, but I mean, if I'm an NFL offense, I just want this guy on the field whenever I can get him on the field. He's just a playmaker. He's so good, so fluid. I don't see any of the same potential vision issues with Fournette. Um, it's just that, really, like I said, if they're 4 and 5 on my board, I mean, there's really not that much of a difference between them. These guys are not just 1 and 2; they're at this point essentially 1A and 1B. Yeah, Dalvin Cook for me again, easy top 10 value. He's a number 5 on my board. That says all it needs to. Number 3, this is where things changed. Last time it was Deontay Foreman out of Texas. Now it's Alvin Kamara out of Tennessee. And you know what? The big knock on him when he declared was that because Tennessee was using Jalen Hurd as their primary runner, that Kamara didn't get a lot of touches. But I'll tell you, man, when he got those touches, he made it work, and he was a much better running back than Jalen Hurd will ever be. And it's fitting that Alvin Kamara is friends with the guys from Migos because this dude is bad and bougie. He is so clean, so crisp. I was watching his tape again. I watched 5 games of his the other day, and man, he breaks a hell of a lot of tackles. Vanderbilt could not stop him, and they have one of the best linebackers in the class in Zach Cunningham. Um, you know, Alabama shut him down a little bit, but that's because it's Alabama. Like it, it's hard to get a hand on Alvin Kamara. He's not as big as a Fournette, um, and he's not really as shifty as Dalvin Cook, but he's a basically a poor man's version of both. And to me, that's a first round talent. I've got him as 25 on my board. Will he go first round? I don't know, but I've also been seeing him a lot in major writers like first rounds, like Luke Easterling of DraftWire, Daniel Jeremiah of NFL.com. I believe Charlie Casserly of NFL.com had him in there, and Charlie Casserly is a former GM. So this guy's gaining traction too, and he's gaining it at the exact right time. And he just also happened to be gaining traction with me. Number 4 is Christian McCaffrey. He's been like number 30 or 31 on my board for about 2 months now. I'm not really sure about him because I've I've seen him compared to Reggie Bush, and that does kind of scare me because everyone thought that Reggie Bush was going to be like this next great superstar running back, and everyone kind of thought that about Christian McCaffrey too. And I still think that at the next level, he may just very well be Reggie Bush. He's just going to be New Orleans Saints Reggie Bush, in that he's more of a complementary role and not, more of a complementary role in a kick returner rather than the 3 down running back. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. I also think in the right system, you could probably use him at wide receiver. Who's picking at the end of the first round? New England. Who loves picking white skill positions? New England. I think that's a perfect match. I think from here on out that's probably going to be the match I make at the end of the first round. Is that there's going to be a 4th running back taken. It's going to be Christian McCaffrey, and they'll probably end up using him as a wide receiver at the next level. I think that he's that good in the passing game that he could just make a full-blown switch. And number 5 is Deontay Foreman. He went from 26 on my board. He's now sitting at 49. Just when I re-ranked the running backs. 6'1", 250, but the problem I saw when I went back and rewatched him on the tape, yeah, he put up a fuckload of yards at Texas and, was that team's entire offense. But at 6'1" and 250, I kind of wanted to see more power out of him. Like, he runs high, which as a former running back is not good. You don't want someone with a high running back with a high uh, with who runs high. I ran high. I used to get the fuck beat out of me when I ran high, like on the field. Like, I'd just get lit the fuck up. Uh, and Foreman doesn't really use his size to his advantage. There's a lot of times where he's like where first contact is enough for him, and that's disappointing. I mean, he's the biggest running back in the class by far at almost at 250 pounds. He's like 20 pounds, 25 pounds bigger than Leonard Fournette, and you don't see that same impact when he hits someone. He just kind of, it's a small collision, and he's probably just going to fall forward for a couple more yards, rather than Fournette, who's going to send that defensive back flying and then run into the end zone for a touchdown. Foreman's a bit shiftier than Fournette, but I mean, when you're 250, you should be playing to your strengths, and your strengths is that you're fucking massive. So yeah, he fell a bit in my books, but I still think he's a really good value in that second round. For a team potentially like Minnesota with Adrian Peterson leaving, I think having a combination of him and Jerick McKinnon would work out great. Number 6, Jamal Williams out of BYU. I actually thought Jamal Williams, when this whole thing was getting started, was like 24 or 25, just because of the BYU thing with the missions and all that, hoopla. I think he's like 21 or 22. Came out really young. Yeah, he gave up football for a year, came back. This year was his best year ever. This dude, very smooth runner. Like 6'1", 215, 220. Has some decent power to him as well. Great footwork, can be really shifty. Not an asset in the passing game, really. But he also kind of changed BYU's offense. BYU historically has been more of a pass first or an air raid offense, and they ran the ball through him, and they ran their offense through him this year, and they did it to a very, very successful season. Number 7, Wayne Gallman out of Clemson. Other than Mike Williams, I think my favorite guy to watch on Clemson this year was Wayne Gallman. Very could have came out last year, didn't. Went back to school, ended up winning a national title game. Had a couple of up and down games, but just a very consistent running back. Kind of like basically like what Alvin Kamara is, but just not as talented. Definitely a big time potential playmaker. Again, he's so young. He's a redshirt junior. I just think that if he gets a little bit stronger, he's going to make someone very happy that picks him in round 3. Number 8, Marlon Mack out of South Florida. This guy has the best vision in the class. His offensive line was not good, and he made up for it by having 1, amazing feet, great elusiveness, number 2, and 3, incredible vision. He breaks a lot of big plays that shouldn't be big plays. I've right now got him as my 8th running back and number 80 on my board. Number 9, Kareem Hunt. I believe this is the smallest running back on my list at 5'10" and 205. I liked Kareem Hunt a lot last year. Excuse me. Sorry about that. Got too excited. Sorry about that. I liked Kareem Hunt a lot last year. He was a very high-rated guy on my board until the underclassmen deadline, where he decided not to come out. Went back, broke Toledo's records for rushing yards and rushing touchdowns and total yards and all of that. And then just blew it up at the Senior Bowl week. Was the best running back there by far. But the thing was, Toledo had a really down year this year, at least in my opinion. And whenever I could get some film on him, whenever I got some film on him, his tape was kind of eh. But if you watch the tape from last year and you watch the tape from this year, I think he might have been dealing with an injury or something. But, definitely that's why I put him down at, he's not number 97 on my board. So he's kind of that late 3rd, early 4th. And you know what? That's a good value for someone where you're not really quite sure about the tape and you've seen flashes in the past, but when you see them this year, it's not the same. And rounding out the top 10 is Jeremy McNichols out of Boise State. This guy, I'm not really sure what to make out of him. I thought he was going to have a much better season than he did. Anytime I really got some tape on him, I kind of came away unimpressed. But, overall, I think he's a solid player. I think he has some value in the receiving game. Can potentially be a returner at the next level. Has good elusiveness. His vision is not exactly that great, and he's not all that strong. So again, he's 109 on my board, so 4th round value. I think that's pretty solid. So there you have it, guys. A little treat for you, a top 10 list. I've never done that before. So there you go. As always, guys, if you enjoyed the video, leave a like, subscribe. The next week or so, I'm going to put up a shitload of videos. I'm planning on probably 8 videos by next Wednesday or so. So yeah, as always, guys, like, comment, subscribe. Tell a friend to tell a friend, and I'll see you next time.